Hello, everyone. Welcome to Chogonet Gaming News. Today we'll be focusing on the situation of the Canada casino industry. And for that, we are joined today by Paul Burns, who's the president and CEO of the Canadian Gaming Association. So welcome, Paul. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
Great. So to start off, well, we've been covering some of the casino reopenings in Ontario, Manitoba casinos, Lotto, Quebec, and SIGA as well since July. How would you describe the current situation of the Canada casinos in these different and the main jurisdictions regarding these reopening processes, the restrictions and the plans that have been submitted by operators, the key lessons from them, and maybe the response from both operators and guests so far?
Well, it's been a slow reopening. As you know, our casinos closed, like in many parts of North America, in middle March. It's been a slow process of reopening, with the jurisdictions starting with Alberta and then Saskatchewan, Manitoba, and Quebec now being open. It's been a very different experience in each of those jurisdictions based on public health rules. Really, everybody has been following the direction of public health, be it obviously social distancing, reduced capacities. There are no table games being offered in Manitoba, Saskatchewan, or Alberta at this point, though Alberta will soon be moving to begin opening table games. Lotto Quebec has, in their 4 properties, moved to a system of creating 250-person pods within the gaming facility to control crowds and spread of people. It's been a different experience in Quebec. I think there's the customers have been getting used to the new experience. It's a significant change for the customer, obviously. The bright spot is that they've been very complimentary of staff, actually everywhere in the country. As gaming staff in the casinos have gone out of their way to make sure that, 1, people feel safe and comfortable, and 2, that they understand the new environments in terms of how operations have changed in these facilities. So there is it's been a learning process. It's been slow. We don't have Quebec or Ontario, unfortunately, at this point, the casinos have not chosen to open because they were only allowed to open with a capacity of 50 people, which made it financially unviable, really, for most facilities. We continue to work, and the association has been working with jurisdictions and various levels of government to advocate on behalf of the industry to ensure that public health officials understand our business, understand that we actually are very well positioned to implement enhanced cleaning and operational procedures because of the regulatory nature of gaming. We're a highly regulated business. Staff institute policies and procedures on a daily basis. So it's nothing new. It's just very different types of policies, obviously. But we're hopeful that they gain a better appreciation. The openings have gone well in the jurisdictions where they've happened, which has been positive. And so it's British Columbia and Atlantic Canada are also still closed, and we expect through the coming weeks and potentially a couple months, those jurisdictions will open. So it's not been easy for operators to understand and learn through this process, but we've stepped up, and there's very robust plans been involved. We've been working hard with regulators and provincial lottery corporations and governments to ensure everybody knows how we're going to work. So it's not having revenue for 6 months, employees being home for what they're now in their 6th month in many jurisdictions. It's been very hard on people and organizations. And so far everybody is enduring and hanging in, but we hope to see some larger scale reopenings coming in the other provinces in the coming weeks.
And do you have an approximate of in terms of a percentage of casino industry that has already been reopened? Maybe you have a number, or to have a general idea?
There's been anecdotal response in terms of return to business. In the jurisdictions that have opened reopen their VLT business, as 8 provinces in Canada have VLT networks across their provinces. Those have been strong. That's seen a good return to business there. Casinos, because of reduced capacity, actually have seen, relative to the capacity, good returns. So business in excess of 50% of previous levels, though they're working with, in many cases, less than 50% capacity. So anecdotally, everybody has been very comfortable with the level of business return, and they hope it's sustainable. But it's been, by and large, from a financial picture, it has been trending in the right direction. So that's been encouraging, and I know many of the companies have been surveying their customers through this period too, and the customers are saying, "We want to come back. We want to come to the facility. We know that you're going to make it safe. We want you to make it safe for us." And we've got most parts of the country are under mandatory mask provisions in the casinos, and customers are quite comfortable with that. And so they're seeing that there is demand, and there is people want to get back to doing things they had done previously. And so we're no different than in terms of many other activities that people want to return to.
And you already mentioned this capacity limit of 50 people in Ontario, and you've been working with operators to present a plan that is based on pods of 50 people. So, what is the status of that? Is this feasible to this kind of pods?
Yeah, we're still working through some of those discussions. It's trying to get the public health officials to understand how our business operates. We're not like others. We can't be shoehorned into we just did this for movie theaters, so we can do this for you, or we did this for other facilities, so you can do this. And we're saying, no, we don't quite operate the same way, and have appreciation that we actually have regulatory rules that we have to achieve, and they can't compromise. So we've had to work through this process. It's taken a little longer than we've wanted, but we're getting to a point now where we hope that there's a turning point, that we can see an increased capacity limit in some form or fashion that comes in Ontario. But we still got a ways to go, unfortunately, just to making sure that public health officials understand how the facilities operate, what they look like, and the work that we do. Because it has been, that's been the biggest challenge. Mm-hmm.
And how would you assess the role that has been played by the regulator, the Alcohol and Gaming Commission of Ontario, in this sense?
They've been very good. The Alcohol and Gaming Commission and OLG have been very supportive of the industry. The AGCO has worked in terms of really trying to play a role and provide an ongoing compliance and monitoring function. They will perform once casinos reopen to give public health and others the assurance that we're following the procedures that we've laid out. They've required in Ontario that every operator submit a site-specific reopening plan that's reviewed by a subject matter expert in infectious disease, and so that they can know that it's been validated by a credentialed third party. So it's all been very positive. It's been a very cooperative working relationship, and so but we're all following. Unfortunately, in Ontario, the public health officials have been given most of the control and the final say, and so we've been sort of sitting side by side with the Alcohol and Gaming Commission, working with public health to help them understand our industry, how it works, and that the AGCO can fulfill their requirement and the operators can fulfill their legal obligations, while at the same time operating in a safe, secure manner.
Sure. In terms of gaming revenue and the impact this has had, how would you assess the aid and relief resources provided by the government so far? And what are your outlooks for a market recovery? What can we expect for the remainder of the year in this area?
It's as I don't think anybody expected when we started in March to be closed for what's now, for many parts of the country, closed for 6 months. Some obviously have been open for a couple now, and that's been great. the various impacts on revenue have, most recently, the Ontario Lottery and Gaming Corp released a revised profit figure for the year, which is about 25% of what they did last year. And that's so in some parts of the country, it's significant. We're now closing on 6 months of no revenue, and that's it's been very hard. So the decline was where Alberta was closed for a part of 3 months, and they've been slowly to reopen. I think that they've seen some reasonable gains and return to business, which has been important for sustainability in the long term. I think that there is, in other parts, the governments have been, federal government has been very good with a wage subsidy program, which has been great for those who've reopened, who've been able to take advantage of a 75% wage subsidy for employees returning, which has been great. There have those that aren't open haven't really been able to take advantage of it, and so that's been a challenge. And we hope that it's in place now until the end of the year. And so we're confident that if we can get open, that everybody can take advantage of that. Other supports and other financial incentives are being talked about at this point in time. I don't think when governments envisioned it was shorter term versus longer term in terms of revenue splits, because obviously in Canada, where there are private operators, you're basically a business partner with the government and you're sharing revenue. And those being able to ensure that the industry gets back on its feet in a sustainable fashion is one of the things that we've been strong at advocating, in terms of being able to ensure that if there is future capital that's planned, that's required for improving facilities and other things, that hopefully one day that can occur and resume, but also that we can bring back as many of the employees as possible, whether it's a continuation of wage subsidies or other measures. Right.
Have you seen? I don't know if you can share with us some examples of good examples of innovation and technology resources that maybe including cashless and touchless technologies that have been applied by the operators to adapt to this new normal. And if you've seen an increased appetite for the diversification these days.
We have, fortunately, the Canadian Gaming Association has been working for several months on a cashless wagering standard, for a regulatory standard for the industry in Canada. It's a project we actually started pre-COVID, and working with regulators and those in the fintech space to bring a cashless standard, because there was a strong appetite to see cashless alternatives in the gaming environment. So we've almost finished that process. We're in a public consultation phase on the standard right now, and customers have. That's one of the things when the companies have been surveying and asking their customers, they've asked them about cashless payment technology, and customers have been asking about it. So we know that there's a demand. Regulators have been cooperative with us in our process to develop a national cashless standard. And now operators are evaluating technology. Obviously, Quebec brought in a no-touch table environment. They've deployed technology to be able to people to do buy-ins and receive a voucher off the table based on their play. So some of this was accelerated adoption quite quickly, and I know we've seen the state of Nevada bring in their cashless standard, and I think we're going to see it move fairly quickly in many parts of the country. But there is an appetite, and the operators have been exploring and looking at what options are available to them, because their customers are asking, and that's really what's driving this.
Sure. We've included one of the news that we've reported from Canada this week was something that representative, the member of parliament, Brian Mass, and Unifor Local 444 president, they said last week that the single sports betting legislation would have allowed to take money from legal market and allow casinos to be making revenue through online options. So we'd like to know if you agree with them, and what are your outlooks for this particular bill. I don't know if you can relate them to these standards that you were talking about as well.
We have for the quest to change the Criminal Code of Canada to permit the wagering on single sporting events has been a 10-year battle for the CGA and for me. And we've had bills and legislation in the last 3 parliaments in Canada. We had one that was successfully passed our House of Commons, our lower house, only to not get voted on in the upper house. This time the bill was, it never really got started because Parliament hasn't sat very much. It was introduced in February, just before COVID. So it actually will go back to where it was when the Parliament resumes in September in terms of its place in the order paper. So we're confident it will come up this fall. We have been talking to the government over the last several months about finding another alternative. We see it as a strong signal for them to send to our industry and the greater hospitality industry that bringing out with a new product coming out of COVID would be ideal, and that it's obviously what customers want. Canadians wager about $500 million through the current sports lottery products, which is 3-game or more parlays in most cases. Some more places are 2, but they spend $15 billion through illegal bookmaking operations or offshore operators that they can access their online sites. So we're confident that will actually repatriate a lot of those funds. And that's what we're trying to say. It's a measure that doesn't cost the government anything. It can help make revenue for not only for government, but also help preserve and create some jobs for our sector. And we're confident that, and then Ontario, the province of Ontario, we're looking to move forward with creating a regulatory regime for online gaming. So an open license and taxation system for online gaming in the province of Ontario, which then combined with sports wagering would provide a very robust marketplace in the country for companies who are in the online space to come and be licensed, sports books to come and be licensed, and to offer their products and just be taxed. So we're confident there's some good things on the horizon coming up for Canada, hopefully, that we'll see that were some positive signs. But it's been, the sports betting bill has been, we have nobody in Parliament that disagrees with us, but they just haven't found the means to get it done. And that's been the frustrating part, that we have support from all of the major parties in the House of Commons. We have had, our first bill that passed in 2012 passed on a voice vote and unanimous consent. And so we've had that strong coalition of support from labor, from business, from the amateur sporting community, and most recently the professional sports leagues in North America, which have given us an added boost when they have come out and publicly asked the government for the change back in June. And so we're confident that we're going to get it done. It's just a matter of when and not if. So we're confident that we're going to see something hopefully this fall.
Right. Sure. Well, to finish off, your association has among its members, you have operators, manufacturers, suppliers, and many other stakeholders in the gaming industry nationwide. So other than what we have been already discussed today, do you want to mention some other new demands demands and concerns from your members that you're seeing these days, and when, if you want to have a guess of when we can expect to see the full casino industry back open in Canada?
Well, I'm hoping that sometime in October, by October, we'll have seen most of the country reopen. I think that's obviously operators need time to prepare their facilities once they've given approval, but I think we're going to see movement in Ontario, Atlantic Canada in the coming months. I think British Columbia may be a bit slower, but we're trying to explain to everybody our industry is well prepared to ensure we have safe environments, and we're doing a great job at it. and are very robust plans. So it's been very good. We're trying to look ahead with things like our work on cashless wagering standard and sports betting to hopefully provide maybe some new alternatives and new activity within the facilities to give customers something new and something different and on the return. So we're staying positive, we're being hopeful, and working hard to make sure that we can get open as soon as possible.
Great. Well, thank you very much for your time today, Paul. We look forward to speaking with you again soon with a brighter landscape for the Canada casinos.
Exactly. Well, happy to chat, and we're here to talk anytime. So thank you again for having me.
Sure. Thank you. Goodbye.